This is exactly what we needed. A new happening at training camp proves that Aaron Glenn is running this show differently as an old face shows up at Jets training camp today for a tryout. And we got to break this all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Digest. Before we hop into the video for today, only 39.8% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. So if you are not subscribed, please take a second, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But hopping into the news that we got for today, coming from New York Jets insider Zach Rosenblatt, Jeremy Ruckert was called for a false start and was promptly taken out the very next play. Cutting back on penalties is an emphasis in camp. This is exactly what we needed to hear. Last season, the New York Jets led the entire NFL in penalties, which was something that obviously no winning franchise can ever undertake. That's not something that you can make a habit of and expect to actually win football games. Everyone says it's about being disciplined. They say it's about the details and the small details, and you can't be making penalties and mistakes over and over and over again and expect to win football games. We know Aaron Glenn has been bringing in referees to officiate practices as much as possible. This is exactly what Aaron Glenn should be doing, running this New York Jets in a different direction, because last year we know Robert Saleh gave all the players a little bit too much wiggle room, and they took the wiggle room and kind of pushed it to the limits and made mistakes, but were not actually held accountable for it, which is why it's so important that we're seeing Aaron Glenn hold players accountable. Accountability is the most important word when it comes to this new regime, and we are seeing an exact example right here. We're seeing absolute proof that Aaron Glenn is running a tighter ship, and this is exactly how I would do it. You make a mistake, you got to get out. Like, there has to be consequences for making mistakes. Last year, the same mistakes were made over and over and over again. It was false starts, it was delay of games, and it was extremely frustrating. You never want to give up 5 yards at any time. So now, just one false start gets you taken out for that set of reps is absolutely the right way to run your practices. And if you're taking out guys who are committing penalties, you're going to be left with guys who don't commit penalties, and the guys who are committing penalties, they are going to learn that if they commit penalties, they're not going to get playing time, and they will either not play or they will stop committing penalties. So this is really, really great, exactly what we're looking for. But let's hop into who came in to training camp today for a tryout at a position of need, according to Brian Costello, another New York Jets insider. He said the Jets had an old friend in for a tryout today, kicker Nick Folk, per sources. Folk kicked for the Jets from 2010 to 2016. Now, of course, Nick Folk is someone that, I don't want to say older Jets fans, but definitely not the newest Jets fans won't know who he is. But obviously, if you were around for the early 2010s, you can see obviously 2010 to 2016 is when he kicked for us. But if you're watching the New York Jets' most recent playoff runs 15 years ago, you would remember Nick Folk very fondly. The question is, does he actually have a whole lot more in the tank? Not really so sure about that, but we will take a look at his percentages over the last couple of years. We can see in 2024 with the Tennessee Titans, he only missed one field goal, kicking 21 in between the uprights for out of his 22 attempts, 95.5%. 2 years ago was even better than that, kicking 29 of 30 with 96.7%. 2022, he missed a couple, but overall, he's been a very, very decent kicker, and has been kicking a very high percentage, only 2 misses over the last 2 seasons combined. Now, you may ask, why is he not on a team if his percentage is so high? I think that's a very fair question, and I do think I also kind of have that exact same question when it comes to Nick Folk. If you are a really good kicker, chances are you are going to be on a football team when we are in pretty much August now. So don't have super high hopes for Nick Folk, even if the stats do say otherwise. But we know the New York Jets have been struggling mightily when it comes to the kicker position during training camp. We already had to cut, I believe it was Caden Davis who was already cut, because the New York Jets, we got to figure this thing out. If you remember, or obviously everyone remembers the Patriots dynasty, but they got away with nickel and diming a lot of positions that people believe were important. But one position that Bill Belichick never scrimped out on, he always paid Stephen Gostkowski, the kicker. He always made sure they had a really good kicker, because kickers are the difference between winning and losing football games. They obviously, when you're at the end of the game, a one kick can be the difference many times between winning and losing football games. The NFL, the parity is just, every team is a lot closer to every other team than people like to give him credit for. Like the best team isn't that much better than the worst team because everyone's so good. One kick can make or break seasons. We just watched, obviously, last year, horrible kicking. The Denver Broncos game is the game I know everyone wants to talk about how bad Greg Zuerlein was in that game in particular, even though it was raining. But we do know that this is a position that the New York Jets do not have worked out at all. There are a lot of positions that, aren't very good with the New York Jets, but they have upside shots. Currently at kicker, there is absolutely nobody in the room that we really can go out and feel really good about right now. So Nick Folk, this is absolutely the right thing to do. Just go out and try out pretty much as many kickers as we possibly can, because someone is bound to be better than what we have in the room. Currently, I heard one of the New York Jets insiders had to ask someone next to him, did that guy do that on purpose, when a kicker missed a field goal so badly that it looked like it was an intentional miss. And apparently the New York Jets, according to our insiders, they have been missing even up close field goals. So obviously a position that needs to be absolutely addressed in free agency now. But we know that Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey are not sitting back and resting. We've seen them making a bunch of little moves behind the scenes. We know that they are looking far and wide for talent. They've been looking overseas by, bringing in Weigland at offensive line, and they're looking all over the place, whether it's UFL, overseas, in the NFL, or in college. They're looking all over the place to find more guys. And speaking of, more guys and some guys that are under the radar, apparently Zach Evans was on the New York Jets too. He was a 6th-round pick for the LA Rams a couple of years ago. Severely undersized running back coming out of Ole Miss. He looked pretty good in college, but he was very undersized. His BMI was a little bit too low. He was on the New York Jets up until 10 minutes ago, to where he promptly retired. So if you were rooting for Zach Evans, which I don't think anyone was, because that sounds bad, but I didn't even know he was on the team. We obviously have a stacked running back room, so Zach Evans did not really have a good opportunity to go out and actually make the New York Jets. But now he is going to be retiring, and that's going to make it easier for the Donovan Edwards fans. If anyone wants to go out and see Donovan Edwards join this New York Jets final 53-man roster, it's going to be tough for him, seeing how we got Braylon Allen, Breece Hall, and then Isaiah Davis. I'm hearing that he's a stock down guy for the beginning of training camp, but we will see. I would rather not put too much stock into training camp and believe my own eyes when it comes to the preseason games, which is when we will be playing at full speed and being able to play against other players who are fighting for their jobs on every single snap. That's when we can determine how good or how bad the preseason is going for Mr. Isaiah Davis. But don't forget about them. We also have Andrew Beck and Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams is going to be a kickoff specialist, return man. That's what he's brought in to do. That's what I would expect him to do. Maybe, if he's not Darren Mougey's guy, he might want to put Donovan Edwards in that role instead of Quinnen Williams. The point I'm trying to make here is it's going to be really tough for Donovan Edwards to make the roster as a running back, and he will have to make an impact on special teams if he is going to be making the New York Jets roster and making a difference. But I know he has a lot of fans in the New York Jets, fan base. A lot of players obviously watch a lot of Donovan Edwards. I will say, pay attention to his advanced analytics. They were very bad, which is part of the reason why he went undrafted. Although, tall running backs who can catch the ball is a commodity in the NFL. Running backs who can catch and run effectively will always be something that people covet. So he will obviously have a fair chance to go out and make this roster, even if the New York Jets running back depth chart is pretty stacked. But that's what I got for this video. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and go Jets.